and welcome to episode 2 of the Yarnworthy video podcast. My name is Emma and I am a knitter, amateur sewer, occasional embroiderer and cross-stitcher and pretty poor crocheter. And I'm also the dyer behind Yarnworthy. You can find my hand-dyed yarn at yarnworthy.co.uk and you can also find me on Instagram as @yarnworthyyarn. You are joining me today for another naptime video podcast in Shropshire in the United Kingdom. It is Thursday the 15th of October and it is pretty cold this morning, although it is clearing up and looks like it's actually going to turn into quite a nice day. I actually really like these type of days, like really cold and fresh but nice and sunny. So have actually managed to get quite a lot of knitting done this week, which is quite surprising because my youngest has been a bit poorly and under the weather. So I can't knit anymore when she's awake either because she just goes straight for the knitting needles and, well, that's obviously not a good thing. So in terms of finished objects, I have got, I think, 2 knitting finished objects this week. So the first one is the work in progress that I was working on last week, and this is the test knit for Knit with Attitude. It is a pattern by Francesca Hughes. I think she is Francesca Hughes Knitwear on Instagram, but I'll pop all the details somewhere on the screen or down below. All of the details have now been released in relation to the Knit with Attitude book. So this is a pattern for the anniversary book that Knit with Attitude are bringing out. It hasn't actually gone to publishing yet, or at least it's not ready available to dispatch, I don't think, but it is available definitely for pre-order. And although all of the details are now starting to be shared about the patterns, I know that this one in particular, the full picture of it has been now released. I'm still not allowed to share the my complete test until the book actually comes out. So I'll share some little bits and pieces of it today. But this is the Paloma cardigan. I think that's how you say it. And I knitted the size 3. So the pattern was intended to be knit with about 25 to 38 centimetres positive ease, which is about 10 to 15 inches. So the size 3 that I've knit, the finished garment measurement is 54.5 inches, which gives me around about 13.5 inches of positive ease. And the pattern calls for 6 buttons on sizes 1, 2, 3, and then 8 buttons on sizes 4 and above. So see what little bits that I can show you. So this is the only variation that I did to the pattern as written. And that was just to make it short sleeved. The actual pattern is like a normal sort of cuff length. It's really hard with this one to get it to pick it up. That's actually quite a good idea of how it is. So this is my colourway Secret Garden. The pattern calls for a fingering weight yarn, and this is my 100% British BFL. Secret Garden is a very deep and rich tonal dark green. So it's like a foresty green with sort of going out to black in some places. So the pattern, this on me sort of falls sort of just probably around about where this is now actually, which I think is like quite a nice length somewhere around there, because I find that anything longer I just end up sort of pulling up or scrunching up anyway, so this just feels like a better idea for me. It's got a little rib cuff there. I think the actual pattern called for, I think it was 5 centimetres of ribbing, but obviously with it being a bit shorter, I only went for a much shorter length ribbing section. I think it was about 2 centimetres. And also I did vary the decreases to decrease quite rapidly to get down to that point there. It is quite, or obviously with how much positive ease it's quite an oversized garment. Obviously that then goes into the arm area as well. See if I can give another little bit of a different idea. So this is a front panel. So you can see it's lots of cabling and lace. If I hold maybe the one part on its own, give you an idea of the texture going through. So you can see it's quite open. And then you get, I mean, you can tell by looking at it, it's a cardigan. So this is worked from the bottom up. So you start off with this like textured cabled ribbing section. work from the bottom up for the back panel and the side panels, and then you split for the sleeves and you knit the 2 front panels and the back panel individually, and then you complete the sleeves, pick up and knit for the button band and the buttonhole band, and then the collar. So there's a little bit of piecework to sort of structure it. And I must admit that it's not usually my favoured method of construction. I really enjoy doing top-down garments, but this was a really nice pattern and had a lot of interest to it. It is a little bit time consuming because you've obviously got all the cables and the lace work going on, but I think it will be a really nice cardigan to wear. Actually, I think I'd get away with it year round really, because I have made it sort of short sleeved and it is sort of oversized. I think it'd be like a nice comfy one to chuck on over bits and pieces. So I look forward to being able to share that actually on. It's the only reason I haven't sort of popped it on today, but hopefully I'll be able to share some finished pictures in the next couple of weeks. I'm not quite sure now what the intended release date is for the book, because I think originally, unless I've got it wrong, I think originally it was last weekend. But yeah, I will share the details as soon as I get those through anyway. In terms of meterage, I think I definitely used under 3 skeins of my British BFL fingering, which is they're 100 gram skeins, 400 meters per 100 grams. I will weigh those and I'll pop the details on the screen of how much I used. That was obviously with the variation to make the shorter sleeves. So if you wanted to go for the pattern as written, and that would be like the cuff length, the like bracelet length sleeves, then obviously that would use a little bit more meterage. And yeah, it's a really nice pattern. I'm glad to get that done because I've been working at that for a while, partly because there's just been a lot generally going on, but partly because it is one of those that it's not like a sit in front of the TV and mindlessly knit, although once you've got the pattern repeat, it does start to go that way, but obviously you need to concentrate more than you would just like hitting the body of a stocking stitch or garter stitch jumper or something like that. So I ended up finishing that earlier than I expected, and I was obviously waiting to cast on the Stephen West MCAL, and I decided to do a really quick cast on because the weather had suddenly turned as well, and I was quite aware that for the school runs, my daughter is 19 months old, but she's still like pretty much bald. She's got a little bit of hair, but like it's really, really sparse. And it's really got on the chilly side now in the morning, like it's heading down towards, I think this morning it actually was 4.5 degrees Celsius. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. If I find it out, I'll pop it on the screen. But yeah, I'm aware that like she needs something on her head realistically. And the bonnet that I made her last year is now a little bit too small, so I thought I would knit up a fresh one. And having had a quick look through, I thought, no, I'll just stick with what I know and I'm going to do exactly the same bonnet that I did last year. So that is the Caris bonnet. And this is a pattern by Alison McCarney, which is Boris and Stasha design. I did knit the 9 to 18 month size, which I think it was actually the size that I knit last year, but I know I didn't block last year's, maybe it just needs a block in. That or my gauge was completely different. But this is the finished bonnet pattern. So you get this lovely lace detailing right around the head. And then effectively you knit this sort of this bit, the lace bit backwards, and then you work in the round decrease for the crown. And then you pick up and knit these little collar stitches at the bottom before doing the little I-cord ties. So this is my Christmas colourway for this year. This is Socially Distanced Santa, and this was in the standard 100% British BFL fingering waist. I do also do it in a high twist, which has got a little bit more bite and texture, so it's effectively my sock yarn, purely because I don't sell any yarns that contain plastic, but that's also really nice if you want something that's got a little bit more definition, looks a little bit more defined. It's lovely in things like colour work as well. But this is the standard BFL. The pattern calls for a DK weight yarn, so I did hold it double. I've got the leftover of the little cake here, so you can see it used barely anything. Again, I will try and weigh it and pop how much I used in terms of meterage on the screen, but I mean, it must have been like 25 grams ish, I would guess. And I literally just took one sort of thread of yarn from the centre and one from the outside and just worked it double. I know, like, I always find that works really well for these. I've never had any problems at all with them getting tangled or anything. So if you are looking for something that's like smallish that calls for a DK weight, I find that's a really good way to do that. So this is a really, really nice pattern. Very, very clear, straightforward and easy, super quick. I literally cast on Wednesday night, and I think I got all of this done on Wednesday evening, and then Thursday I literally just had to do the decreases, the little collar bit around the neck, and then the I-cord. So I was done on Thursday. So it was really, really nice, quick and easy, and yeah, I'm really happy with how this colourway worked up. I don't know if I've got an actual skein of the yarn here. Did I grab one? Sure that I did. Yes, I have. So that's the actual how it looks in the skein. And then in the cake. So the predominant colour through it is this sort of like a rusty orangey reddy colour. But in the fingering, the standard British BFL, not the high twist, it's picked up much more of like the pinky purple through it, which you can really see when you work it up in the hat pattern itself, or, you know, just generally in the knitted fabric. It does look a little bit more rich on the screen than it actually is. And close up you can see a lot more of the little splotches and speckles of greens and greys and all sorts. So really happy with this, and this is a really nice one to pop on it over the autumn winter. I personally really like the bonnet patterns because I find with the hats she just pulls them straight off, whereas if I can quickly get this on and tie it around her neck, I stand a much better chance of it staying on for longer, and she's actually not too bad then with it being on her head. So yeah, I think I'm just going to see if I've got anything else down for this one. No, which of course I didn't think about it until I was knitting it, but anybody that's knit any of Stephen West's patterns will know that he's a big fan generally of I-cords, and I did think when I was doing this, was this a good idea to do tonight, because the cast on for the shawl is going to be tomorrow and there's probably going to be a lot of I-cords, but yeah, I really like these as like the tie on them rather than having anything knitted or anything like that. But yes, there we go. So the next thing that I'm going to speak about is the Stephen West's shawl. So this is the Slip Stravaganza MCAL, which stands for Mystery Knit Along. If you've not taken part in any of these before, I know various people run them, but Stephen does them every year at this sort of time of year. Effectively what it is you sign up, you get the pattern information before it comes out, and then every Friday in October you get what he calls one clue, but it's essentially the instructions for a part of the shawl, and so you're effectively working it up bit by bit each Friday, so 4 times through the month of October, and then by the end of October you end up with a shawl that you've knitted that you didn't know what it was going to look like at the beginning. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So this year's shawl is the Slip Stravaganza. The last time that I did a video podcast, I was umming and ahhing about what colours I was going to pick. So before I show the shawl, I'll just show you the colours that I decided to go for. So for my main colour, I have gone for my colourway From the Hearth, and that is this is the one that's attached, sorry. This really rich, reddy, orangey colour. There's like, it's a tonal, it's got bits of like brown, bits of even like sort of washes out to almost a pinky type colour. But yeah, it was a really nice autumnal colour. And then for my contrast colours, contrast colour 1, I have gone for this colour. This is Caramelised, which is a really rich, buttery golden yellow with splashes of like toffees and honeycombs and all of that running through. And then contrast colour 2, which he'd said to sort of make the star of the contrast colours, if you like. I went for this. This is my colourway Cruella. And it is whites to greys to blacks, lots of speckles of blacks in there as well. And then my contrast colour 3, I have gone for Eat Your Greens, which is a lovely tonal deep green. It is a more washed out version of Secret Garden. So Secret Garden's got much more of the dark tones, and Eat Your Greens, as you can see, goes down to like patches of white, and much more variation in the sort of green itself. So see if I can grab all of those together, give you a little bit of an idea as to how they interact with each other. Wow, this is going well. There we go. That really attractive bundle there is how they sort of all look together. So we've got from the hearth, my main colour, and then the contrast colours over here. And again with this one, I've decided to go for my 100% British BFL fingering weight. It is a fingering weight shawl, so they're just all worked as standard. So as it stands at the moment, the third clue is coming out tomorrow, which is what's essentially happened is the first clue came out as planned on the Friday, and Stephen sort of dropped these hints of, well, we want to try and get as much knitting as we can done this weekend. And then sure enough, after the weekend, there was a, surprise sort of second clue appeared. So if you're knitting this or you don't want to see what this looks like so far, I am going to share my progress now, and I have done clue 1 and clue 2, so sections sort of 1 and 2. This is the day before the main second clue. The third clue is due to be released, so I'll pop a timestamp on the screen if you want to skip this and you'd rather not see what this looks like. But ready? This is what my shawl looks like so far. So this section here is the first clue, so all of this sort of honeycomb section, and then the second clue that came out was to pick up and leave all of these sort of big yarn over holes and knit this section at the top. So we did start with an I-cord, which is why I commented on that. I knew it was going to be a bad idea. We start right at the top with the I-cord. See if I can hold this a bit more against me so you can see the colours without the light coming through. But yeah, then we've got all of these lovely like I-cord honeycombs, so you get loads of texture, how 3D they are. And then you stripe your contrast colours 1 and 3. So for me, that was my caramelised and Eat Your Greens, the sort of goldeny yellow and the green colour in there. And you are effectively sort of decreasing down half a honeycomb at a time to work your way up to this point there. And that was where we finished the first clue. And then the second clue came out and we went scooting all the way around, sort of picking up stitches, leaving lovely big holes as we go, and then knitting in contrast colour 2 with the main colour to create this mosaic section. Let me show you that a little. Yeah, so you can see there we've got still the sort of main colour ridge running up there, these lovely yarn over holes, and then the mosaic with contrast colour 2 running up there. So that is my sort of progress so far. I am really, really happy with how these colours are working up. Kind of feel like it's got a little bit of a 70s type feel to it, but I'm assuming that this is probably going to be like the centre back like that, so I think like it'll be really nice on, but who knows what this is going to bring next. I'm really excited for the next clue tomorrow, so yeah, I'll share where I get up to with that next time. So moving on to the last knitted item. So I'd finished the first clue of the shawl, I think it was maybe the Sunday, and I was thinking, wasn't expecting to finish this quickly. Obviously didn't know the next clue was going to be coming out the next day, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to knit on. Regardless, I like to sort of like knit in the evening most days, just to switch off while I'm watching something or whatever. And it suddenly dawned on me that I'd got a work in progress that I'd popped to one side earlier in the year. So I actually started this back towards the end of March, And we then went into lockdown and the weather changed quite quickly. We actually had a really nice sort of like April, May time here in the UK this year. And this is a jumper, so I just popped it to one side and thought I'd pick it up later in the year. And I'm glad that I remembered, because I think this is going to be really good for over this autumn winter period, because with the yarn and everything that it's knit up in, I think it'll be a really nice jumper just to like throw on as a layering thing for going for walks or hanging around in the house. I'm not overly worried or precious about it. This is for my 6-year-old. So this is the Anchors sweater, which is a pattern by Petite Knit. I knit the largest size that she does in this, which is age 7 to 8 years, which I think is going to fit my son around perfectly. He is very tall for his age. So this is where I am at the moment. Whoops. So we've got all of the lovely stretchy increases on the collar and all the section up here sort of all done. And then I've completed the body, bound off at the bottom with the ribbon, and I am just on the first sleeve. So in terms of the yarn that I've knit this up in, this is the Garn Studio Drops Lima, and this is the colourway 4305, which they actually call dark blue, but it is dark blue, but to me it's actually a little bit more of like a heathered bluey grey. It's a really, really nice colour. I have still got some skeins of it left, because these only come in small skeins. What size are these? Are these 50 grams? Yeah, they're 50 gram skeins. So obviously takes like quite a lot of these to knit it up. This is what the yarn looks like in the skein. It actually gives you a little bit more of a better idea, but it's quite like a heathered blue sort of colour. It's got a little bit of like a textured fluff to it. The composition is 65% wool, 35% alpaca. I will say, like, it feels like really soft and squishy in the skein. Oh my goodness. I got this yarn for Christmas last year, and I just wondered what was poking at me in the yarn, and it is an isolated pine needle. So there we go. Yeah, sorry, complete tangent, but it's really soft and squishy in the skein. It's got quite a lot of like texture and bounce to it. These little bits that you can see sort of sticking up on it, they have got a little bit of texture to them. It's not like super itchy, but it's definitely not the absolute softest yarn. Just trying to see. Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't feel too itchy like against the skin. But there definitely is like a little bit of texture there. So if you're particularly sensitive, like technically the alpaca would soften it up, but I think, I don't know, maybe how it's been spun together with these little bits that are coming off it, it has got a little bit of texture there. But yeah, I know that this is quite a popular child's pattern, but I'm really happy with how this is working up. I think it'll be like a really nice, just anything sort of jumper really. And yeah, it'll be a really nice one for this year, because I imagine that a lot of our time will be spent just either hanging around indoors or going for walks and things like that. So I think that'll be a really nice, simple one to have. I must admit that generally I really struggle with children's patterns, particularly boys' patterns, because it just doesn't seem to be too much about. I think I've done a couple for him over time. But yeah, for the most part, there's not a great deal out there. Actually, I did think that maybe it might be worth doing a video of some of my sewing and knitting makes for sort of babies and children that I've done so far. Let me know if that might be something that you're interested in. I'm happy to share the good and the bad, or just my favourites, or whatever people think really. But just wondered if it might be handy, because I really struggled at the beginning trying to find things that were interesting and nice, and not like, I don't know, a lot of the boys' patterns I found sort of quite either traditional, or just generally there wasn't anywhere near as much choice anyway. But let me know what you think, and I have a look at trying to do one of those as like a separate video to everything else that I've got going on in terms of works in progress and things like that. So I thought I would also share some thoughts that I've got in terms of knitting projects going forward. So I am waiting at the moment to cast on a test knit, but I'm not quite sure when the pattern for that's going to be ready. And that will be a lacework sort of lightweight jumper, which I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to wait and see what the final details look like first, but at the moment I'm thinking that I might do it in my silky alpaca linen, which is a blend of baby alpaca, silk and linen. So it makes for a like really luxurious looking, sheeny, silky, like really, really soft finished fabric. So I thought that might be really nice, and a lot of my colourways in that are quite subtle, so that might help to sort of show off the lacework, but I'll let you know when I get to that, and maybe some choices of things that I'm thinking of on that front. But I also really, really want to cast on something with my new Silky Surrey. Well, it was new to me back for the Yorkshire Yarn Fest in September. So I've only had it in the shop for probably about a month now. And I've been looking. There's a few things that I've sort of been considering. There was quite a few patterns, which I will actually share this. I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people get this already, but as from last winter was the first one I have where I've been getting the Pom Pom Quarterly magazine. You get a little sort of envelope like this. It has like a cardboard sleeve in front of it, but they have really lovely packaging otherwise. Comes to you through the post quarterly, and then inside there you get your magazine, which has this sort of like touch soft cover. This is my favourite one that they've done so far since I've been getting it, at least. There are like probably almost all of the patterns in here that I would want to do, but there was a few in particular that I was considering for sort of having a go with the Surrey side of things. So one of the ones that I was thinking of was this pattern by Joji Locatelli. See how much of that I can get in. No, I think what I might do is pop some images on the screen, which might be easier. But that was the Susurrus, I'm not quite sure how to say it. There's also the Aloft pattern by Bronte Knits, and the Niebla. Again, I'm probably getting these completely wrong, sorry, but that's by Camilla Larson. And then lastly, the Obeid. I will pop all the details on the screen with a picture so that you can see them properly, which is by Natalia. And yeah, they are all within this issue of Pom Pom, and they all contain like a Surrey or mohair. So I was definitely considering all of those. Also, there was a couple of patterns by Jessie May, who I think I followed since like the absolute beginning, but the beginning of her designing. I mean, it sounds really ominous, doesn't it? But the sheer V sweater, I think it is, and the diaphanous raglan. The diaphanous raglan in particular, I've always wanted to do, but I feel like at the moment with having, particularly with my 1-year-old, like just for generally not really doing anything particular, it's probably just going to get wrecked. So I think I'm going to save doing that until we can get out and about a bit more again, and then have that as just like a really nice luxury jumper to pop on if we're going to do something nice. And then I do want to do the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, which I think I also want to do for my daughter as well. And I know that like everybody and their dog has done the Love Note, but I haven't done one and I still want to do one. So I will do that at some point. And then I thought I'd made a decision, and then Ellie from Skein Deer Knits released a pattern, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, called Pure Fuzz, which I think is like perfect for this year because it's just like a cozy, oversized throw-on jumper, which I still think I'm going to do, but I think first, because I just keep coming back to it and I really want to do it, which is the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry. I just really, really like this pattern, and I think, yeah, you know, it's probably not one to just be generally hanging around in, but I can definitely get away with sort of wearing it for walks and bits and pieces, and I just really want it. So I think that's what I'm going to cast on. I'm just trying to get my head around what colourways I might want to do that in. I'm not going to pick it up again in case anybody's skipped and doesn't want to see. But for the colours that I was using for the Slip Stravaganza, I couldn't help but think how well they looked, you know, sort of worked together as colour work. And I have got two of the colours, so the caramelised colour and Eat Your Greens, I've both got on the Silky Suri Fluff. But I have dyed up a couple of new colourways for the shop this week, and one of them I'm thinking might be amazing with like a really high contrast colour. So I think actually it probably makes sense to share those now. So I've got a big shop update. Some of the stock has already gone in, but the rest of it's sort of going in tonight or tomorrow. I was just waiting for a few things to completely dry off before taking photos of them. But I've decided to do a sale just to celebrate, as a big thank you really for me being able to now do this as my full-time job. So with the coupon code Flying Solo, and that's all capital letters, all one word, just to be popped in as a coupon code at the checkout. I will be offering 10% off from tomorrow, so Friday. I will be sharing all of the details on Instagram and to my newsletter subscribers and everything that way. But yes, if there's anything that you like, just need to pop it in as a coupon code at the checkout, and that will be on absolutely everything store-wide. So I have got advent calendars still in the shop. They will be in there for probably a week, maybe heading towards the end of October. I'm not sure I'll be able to hold them on to the end of the month, and it will depend on capacity with how many more that I get through. I have definitely got the ability to do a few more at the moment, so I am going to leave them up for now. But yeah, they will also be included in the sale, so anything like those, anything on pre-order that you might like, then please do use the coupon code. Also, there are some bits and pieces that I am waiting to get dyed up that, due to my daughter being unwell this week, I just haven't quite got around to. And generally, if there's anything else that you see when you go on there that's already gone down to like 1 or 2 skeins and you actually wanted 4 for a jumper or whatever it is, please just let me know. I will happily organise a custom order for you and apply the discount on that. So yeah, don't just think that you've sort of missed the boat because the stock isn't there or it's already gone down to small amounts. Just let me know, and where I can, I'll get that sorted out for you. At the moment, because this is now what I'm doing, my turnaround time for custom orders is probably within about a week, maybe 2 weeks at a push, and I will let you know if there's any upfront before you place your order. I mean, if there's anything that would prevent me from being able to do so, but for the most part, yeah, I will be able to get that sorted. So in terms of sort of new colourways going in this week, I have got a new colourway to 100% British BFL. At the moment it's dyed up in fingering, but I am thinking that I'm going to pop it up in DK as well. I'll probably pop it up for pre-order. But that is this colourway. It is the colourway Kingfisher, which I've only had previously on Merino DK. So as you can see, it's like a sort of bottly green. It's blowing out a little bit on camera, so I'll pop some photos up as well. But it's like a bottle green with sort of tones running through it of like greens and blues and like even sort of going through to blacks at some point. And I've done that on the fingering weight BFL, but also on the Silky Suri, which on this colour has sort of broken all of those main colours down, so you get all the blues and the greens sort of more distinctly running through it. So I think I can put those two together. So that's the two. So if you wanted to, you could hold them together for like a really lovely sort of fluffy tonal kingfishery colour effect. But you could also do them separately. And now that I've got this colour, I mean, I have got quite a lot of green at the moment, and this is definitely looking more green than the sort of like, well, it is a bottle green, but like turquoise and teals in there as well. But yeah, then it looks in the flesh. But I'm thinking like for going back now to the pink velvet, I can't help but think how nice it might be having that as the body, like the main colour, and then maybe having like my Casper Suri, which is like a white with like a silver running through it, or I don't know, something like that as the contrast colour. We'll see. But yes, otherwise, another new colour that I've got going in the shop this week is this colour. Wow, that's blowing out quite a bit. It's definitely not as pinky as it's coming up on camera. Here we go. And this is the colourway Ablaze. It is golds and oranges and like a rusty red. And it is actually the base colour for my socially distanced Santa. So what have I done with that? Oh, here it is on the floor, if in doubt. So that's the two of those together. So you can see they're a really nice pairing, and you can see that this colour, the main colour of the Ablaze, is the main sort of like rusty red colour that's going, or the rusty orangey colour that's going through socially distanced Santa. So I had a few questions about what you might want to pair socially distanced Santa with, and I am going to pop up some other colour combinations onto Instagram. But yeah, I did especially dye up this colourway so that it could be a pairing with that, but also it would be a really lovely colourway sort of worked up in something on its own. You know, again, just, I don't know, it's just a really nice colourway for this time of year. So that's, did I say Ablaze? This is Aglow. I feel like I've said Ablaze. The colourway is Aglow. So there we go. And then the last new, well, it's not really a new colourway. This is part of my Christmas mini skein set. And I asked on Instagram if anybody would like any of the Christmas mini skeins dyed up to full size. And there was a very universal calling for now bring us some figgy pudding. So I have got that going into the shop. It's not in the shop yet. It will be up by the time this video goes up, I'd imagine. So I have now photographed it, so I just need to edit those and pop them up. But this is what it looks like in a full-size skein. So you have got lots of rich plums and brown speckles and splotches and pops, and you get like a draw through the skein of this like sort of subtle purpley pinky colour. But yeah, let me see if I can just grab one of these and give you a little bit of a better idea close up. There we go. So we've got brown speckles, and then lots of lovely purple speckles, and you also get some blues and reds in there as well. Yeah. So that's now bring us some figgy pudding. So that will be in there on the full-size skeins. Again, this is 100% British BFL fingering weight. And then in terms of, there's actually quite a few things that were out of stock that are going back in the shop. The only thing that I think it might have been down to about 2 skeins, was my 2 flower colourway, which is the colourway that I used for my woolen honey sweater that I was wearing in the last episode. That had either sold out or gone down to 2 skeins in DK. I haven't had time to dye those up, so I will either open a pre-order listing or I'll pop the pre-order up when those 2 go. But if you want a custom order, do just let me know. But I have got going back into the shop a couple of other things that had completely sold out. So I have got Grey Man, that had completely sold out on the British BFL DK weight base. So I've got quite a lot of that going into the shop, and then also caramelised as well. And in terms of how those 2 look knitted up, I have just grabbed my little squares that I've knit up of those as well. So that is the Grey Man colourway. So as you can see, when you knit it up, you get this lovely tonal, sort of like a mid-grey, but it is parts of it that go down to almost white and light grey, and then right up to like a sort of deep charcoaly colour. I really like this one. It's a really lovely neutral because it's heavy on the sort of like mid-grey side, but it's definitely like got a lot of interest to it without being sort of too and over the top for a day-to-day sort of jumper. And then this one is caramelised, which is all of the honeys and buttery golds and toffees, and yeah, again, like similar sort of split of the colours, I guess, in terms of like it's subtle, but there's a lot of sort of interest there. So that's those two. I actually think that they probably look really lovely together. But yeah, so I think that's everything that I was going to talk about stock-wise. So yeah, going back to the pink velvet, that's a few things that I'm toying with on that at the moment, but I think that's probably what I'm going to be casting on next, unless the test knit comes through quite quickly. So yeah, that's everything I think on the knitting front this week. Oh yeah, no, the only other thing, the only other pattern that I was considering, that again, this is another one that I've wanted to do for quite a long time now, but this is a DK weight sweater, but it's the Arboreal by Jennifer Steingass. So yeah, I've just got in my head that I really want something in Surrey, so I will probably do a Surrey next and then maybe come to that, but we'll see where the week takes us. But obviously primarily I'm still going to be working on my Slipstravaganza. Who knows how much knitting or how many clues we will get this week, so we'll see. So yes, I'm just going to be moving along now to the very small amount of sewing content that I have got. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, because I don't know if I can really call it sewing content. I think last week was exactly what I needed to at least get me to commit to finishing off the angle dress, because I did finish it. So that's something at least. And I will say up front, that's probably the extent of this week's sort of sewing content. So if you're interested in anything else, sorry, like it was enough to get the sewing machine out to do this, to be honest, because I haven't got anywhere to have it sort of permanently set up. So yes, but anyway, here it is in all its glory. This is the finished angle dress, which is a pattern by Brindle and Twig. Yeah, I spoke a little bit about this last week. This fabric is one that I purchased back in around about March time this year from Frumble Fabrics. It is the Lobster lineup pattern, and this is the colourway pink. I think last week I did pop all of the sort of links to all the fabrics in the description box, and I'm fairly certain that there wasn't pink anymore, but there was a couple of other colours. So again, I'll pop the details down below if you're interested. And I guess like the lobster side of things is a little bit summery, but for me, I mentioned last week, but my daughter's little sort of favourite toy, well, I say she sleeps with it every night. She's only one, so of course you can't really say favourite, but we bought her when she was tiny is a lobster, so that was the reason that sort of I picked up this fabric. But I do think it's a really nice sort of rich and bright and fun fabric. So it's a stretch jersey. This pattern is really nice and simple and straightforward, just a little bit different, having this nice angled edge. Now I did say last time, but originally I started this, I think probably back in sort of April, May time, something like that. So I was making the 6 to 9 month size in the length and 9 to 12 months everywhere else. And thankfully it does fit her. The length is like a little bit on the short side, and if she can't get away with it with tights, it will look great with just a pair of leggings or something. So that's brilliant. And thankfully the point side of things falls probably at like where her hips would be. So although I think in the pattern, I think the bit that goes out is probably designed to fall a little bit lower. But yeah, it looks great. So I'm really happy that she is going to get somewhere out of it. But it's a really simple pattern. Obviously got the sort of like neck collar bit here, little sleeves. And then, yeah, it's just literally like 2 pieces for the other bit to pop together. And yeah, the reason that I'd sort of got going with everything back in the year is that I did have an overlocker for my birthday. So you can see that's all like overlocked together inside, and then it's just literally like top stitched around the hems. So yeah, I'm really happy that I have actually committed to getting that done. So accountability. So what I needed to do was just, you know, record a video and then feel like I had a reason to get it sorted. So that's good. However, that's all of the sewing that I have got done this week. And I think did I do that last night or the night before? I can't remember, but it was quite last minute to get that all sorted. But I have been sort of looking a little bit more at what sewing patterns I might want to do. And I know I said last week that I think I'd got like over 100 patterns saved. Well, when I actually looked, I've kept like a folder on my phone so that every time I see something I might like to do that pops up on Instagram or on one of the pattern companies that I look at online, I can just screenshot it and pop it into the folder. And I realised that I had 334 patterns saved, plus the fact that I have got 2 Tilly and the Buttons books at home. So I was going through them and I actually very quickly realised that a lot of the patterns were either things that I had saved for office wear, or they were things that I'd saved that there's no real point to me making at the moment because they were things for like going out really. And right now it makes sense for me to have some things like some nice sort of like jogging type trousers, not to do jogging but just for comfort, and some casual bottoms, some casual t-shirts, some like casual like cardigans or jumpers, and some sort of like semi-casual dresses for if we go anywhere that's not just doing the school run or going for a walk or anything like that. So it's having a look through, and there's like a whole bundle of ideas that I've been thinking about, but I think as I've got 2 of like Tilly's books, I've got the stretch book and I've also got the Make It Simple, that there are a bundle of patterns in here that I think I'll probably start with. So I've got the Lotta dress, which it actually isn't in this book, but I think is the only dress that I'll probably do. It's quite casual, it's in wovens, so I think it would be great for this sort of time of year. And then also from these, there's the Freya, which I really like with the cowl neck. And I thought it would be easy to pop with maybe some leggings, like the peg legs from Patterns for Pirates. And there's the Nora top, the Sophia trousers, the Bertha cardigan and the Suki dress. And then having looked through, I really want to make the Juno pyjamas as well. So I think I'm going to start going on some of these. Also feel like Tilly really holds your hand sort of going through how she writes the patterns. So from a confidence side of things, I think it might be a good one to sort of get going. But yeah, I think the only one that I'll look to make immediately out of elsewhere is probably the Loggers, which is another Patterns for Pirates pattern. And then I've got a whole other list of other ones that I'm probably going to touch on next, but I think it probably makes most sense to have a go at some of those simple bits and pieces first. So I'm going to start having a look for what I've got here fabric wise and some bits on that side, and I'll let you know how I get on. I am still intending to do the Sundowner for my son, so hopefully I will get going with that one shortly as well. But yeah, I think that's everything that I was going to go through today. So if you would like to check out my hand-dyed yarn, you can find that over on yarnworthy.co.uk. If there's anything that you would like to buy, if it's a custom order, please just let me know and I will get that sorted for you. But otherwise, please just remember to use the coupon code Flying Solo, and that's all in capital letters, all one word. You just need to pop it in as a coupon code at the checkout for 10% discount. You can also find me over on Instagram as @yarnworthyyarn. If you have enjoyed spending some time with me today, thank you so much. It would be a really big help if you could subscribe to my channel, give this video a like and press the notification bell, which all helps to support me over here. But otherwise, a big thank you for stopping by today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!